5 Live Drive.
Now, Donald Trump's mugshot has become a new emblem for the former president, and his supporters, his campaign team, have proudly tweeted it out. It's already appeared on mugs and T-shirts. The picture was taken after he'd surrendered at Fulton County Sheriff's Office in Georgia on charges of attempting to overturn his election defeat in 2020. The power of the image isn't lost on Lara Trump, who's married to his son, Eric.
This mugshot, you wait for it. It's going to be on posters in people's dorm rooms. It's going to be on T-shirts. It is going to be a flag flown by people who love this country because they're backing Donald Trump.
Well, let's speak to Dr. Laura Smith, the presidential historian from Oxford University. Laura, hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Amazingly, he appears, certainly for those who support him, to have turned a police mugshot into a campaign leaflet.
Yes, I mean, he did actually forewarn us that he was going to do this. And for Lara Trump, it was interesting saying that, for people who love America are going to wear this. But she added that it would be Trump supporters. Honestly, from the memes I've seen floating around the internet, I think it's going to be power to both sides, and it's just going to fuel both sides of the partisan divide.
What it will do, it will just reinforce people's views, won't it, whether they love him or hate him. It's quite amusing in a way, Laura, to imagine him practicing in the mirror before he did this pose, because it's very staged, isn't it?
Very staged. It's amusing, but not surprising for someone who is very concerned about how he comes across on camera. This is certainly very typical for him.
When you look at his co-defendants as well, there's a variety of expressions. I mean, I've read articles today about the art of taking a police mugshot. There's one of the co-defendants is laughing her head off. The others, most of them, looking serious. What do you think he's trying to portray in that picture, Laura? And by the way, I'll just say to everyone listening, it's available if you want to quickly have a look on the BBC News website if you've not seen it, so you know what we're talking about. But he's kind of, well, I mean, do you want to describe it, Laura? The look he's going for?
In one word, I would say defiance. I think that's something that is a nonpartisan thing to say. I think if you ask people from both sides of the political spectrum, that's what they would see on his face. I think some people may find it rather comical if they're not particularly a fan of Donald Trump, and maybe on the international scene, it's slightly a comical expression. To seem that defiant in such a serious situation, maybe not taking it very seriously, and seeing it as an opportunity to further enrich himself. He's certainly trying to do that.
Yeah, and there's a whole counterintuitive narrative about Donald Trump, isn't there? Because whenever he's been indicted, his campaign donations have gone through the roof. And his poll ratings have gone up as well every time he's charged with a crime.
Yes, he has really doubled down on this message of, it's happening to me. It's a witch hunt, which, of course, is not a new phrase. We think back to Robert Mueller's investigation, for example, and the special counsel there. So it's not new, but he's really lent into it, indictment after indictment of this could happen to you because it's happening to me. Now, the fact that these charges are unlikely to happen, for example, an average citizen is not going to have any involvement or accusation of overturning an election or have access to top secret documents, as in the case in Florida. It seems a bit lost on his true supporters. It's just the idea that, they're attacking our guy, therefore they're attacking us. And he's managed to use that vitriol very effectively in the past.
What's the timeline on all this now, Laura? Could he, if found guilty, be campaigning from jail, or might he win the Republican nomination and take part in the presidential election before that?
Well, at the moment, it certainly looks like he's on track for the Republican nomination. The other candidates, you've got Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, who is a far second. You've got Vivek Ramaswamy, a far third. They would have to do a lot of catch-up work to really be able to challenge him effectively. And they are challenging him from the right, which is also an interesting development and very controversial as well. So he does look like he's on track for the nomination. But certainly, I think it would be doubtful that he would be campaigning from prison, as two other presidential candidates have in the 20th century. Has happened twice before. I don't think we're going to see that sort of effective action are happening so quickly in terms of the efficiency of the justice system. I think it's going to take a little bit longer, but I think we should definitely see some court activity happening in the near future.
Just a final thought: there is a school of thought that says all this business about the mugshot and all that kind of thing plays well with his base, but when he goes, if he wins the nomination and goes to the country, that's where he may come a cropper, because your average American may just say, "Nah, this is a circus. We've had enough."
Yes, I certainly do. I have friends who are Republican who either are all in for Trump, they always have been, or have been never Trumpers, and some who voted for him previously, but then have previously decided that they've, again, like you said, had enough, is exactly the expression. But they haven't coalesced around any other candidate. And you're right, Donald Trump is like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. So whether there are people out there, independents, that can be swayed is another question. So it's certainly a sense that people could have enough with it, but it's a question as to whether that base will get out rather than whether they'll stick with him, whether they'll get out to vote.
Laura, good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Laura Smith there from Oxford University.